You see, something very strange is happening right now, and most people haven't noticed it yet. Those who are already awake, those who have started to see the core of the game, are disappearing quietly. Not with drama, not with announcements, not with manifestos. They simply step back, fading into the margins, choosing silence over the noise. And if you have ever felt this pull, if you've wondered why you can't stand conversations, parties, shows anymore, then what I am about to share with you might bring you great relief. This pull is not a disease. It's not antisocial behavior. It's actually the most natural thing in the world when someone wakes up. Allow me to explain what I mean by waking up. I'm not talking about reading a few books on philosophy or having a great idea about unity. I'm talking about the moment when the veil drops and you realize that almost everything people do is like walking in their sleep. They play roles, repeat dialogues, go through routines, doing it all without realizing they are asleep. Now, when you're asleep yourself, this doesn't matter. You fit right in. You can talk about anything and feel fine. You can worry about what others think and believe it's important. You can chase things that have no real substance and call it success. But once you wake up, once you really see what's going on, everything changes. Suddenly, you feel like someone who just stepped out of a movie theater and into the bright daylight. And when you try to go back to the theater, when you try to sit and watch the flashing images on the screen again, you can't do it because you know it's just light and shadows. You know it's not real. This is what's happening to the people who are waking up right now. They find that they can no longer participate in the collective dream, not because they are superior, enlightened, or better than others, but because their nervous system can no longer tolerate it. You see, society operates on a kind of agreement, an agreement to pretend that the roles we play are who we really are, to pretend that the opinions we hold are truly ours and not something we've absorbed from the atmosphere, to pretend that all this urgency, seriousness, and hard work is leading somewhere important, and that everyone must participate in this pretense to succeed.
Oh.
It's like a play where all the actors must keep playing their parts, but when someone wakes up, their character changes. They forget their lines. They start staring directly at the audience, which makes everyone uncomfortable because the awake person can see what's really going on. They can see the fear behind the confidence. They can see the emptiness behind the busyness. They can see that most of what people argue about has nothing to do with what they think they're arguing about. When someone points to another group and says, "Those people are the problem," the awake person sees that this is just a way to avoid their own darkness. When someone posts their anger in a public space, the conscious one sees that it's just unconscious material looking for a target. When society divides into us and them, the awake person sees that both sides are shadows punching each other. And once you see this, you can't unsee it. Can't go back to taking it all seriously. You can't join in with blaming, judging, or venting because you understand that all of it is just a big projection. A big game of blaming others to avoid seeing ourselves. So, what do the awakened ones do? They step back. Not because they hate others, but because to remain in the game, they would have to betray what they've seen. Every conversation forces them to pretend they don't see what they see. Every social gathering forces them to present a version of themselves that no longer exists. Every interaction asks them to lower themselves below what they've become. And eventually the soul says enough. Stop pretending. Stop performing. Stop translating your depth into shallow terms just to fit in. Go to a place where you can breathe. Now, let me clarify something. This is not spiritual neglect. This is not running away from responsibility. This is not some kind of escape where you hide in a cave because life is too hard. No, this is something entirely different. It's the recognition that living in the subconscious actually damages awareness. It's like asking a plant to grow in the dark. It's going to survive for a while, but eventually it will wither. The awakened person finds that being around the subconscious is not just uncomfortable, it's exhausting. Every time you're surrounded by people who are asleep, you have to work hard to maintain your own awareness. You have to constantly filter projections. You have to stay calm while chaos happens around you. You have to remain clear while others are still unclear. This requires an enormous amount of energy, an invisible energy that no one sees or appreciates. You're doing psychological work that others don't even realize needs to be done. And after a while, you realize that you've spent all your energy just trying to stay awake in an environment that's actively pulling you back to sleep. So you make a choice. You choose awareness over ownership. You choose truth over acceptance. You choose your inner clarity over the approval of people who can't see what you see. and this is where their disappearance begins. First, you leave social media because you realize it's a machine designed to make people unconscious. Every scroll is an invitation to judgment, comparison, anger, distraction. For someone who is awake, it feels like swimming in waste. So, you just stop. You delete the apps. Stop checking. And suddenly, hours of your life come back to you. Then you begin leaving your social circle not with anger or announcements. You stop showing up because you realize that most social gatherings are performances. People perform their success, their happiness, their opinions, and you can't do it anymore. Your true self has emerged, and it's not interested in pretending. Then, you leave certain relationships not because you no longer care about the other person, but because some relationships were built on who you used to be, the version of you that was still asleep. And now that you've woken up, there's no common ground left. You speak a different language. You live in a different world. Then you leave your career. This often becomes the hardest because society has convinced us that our work is our identity. But the awakened person can no longer play the role their job demands. They can no longer pretend to care about things that don't matter, can no longer participate in a system they now see, and they leave. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but they leave because staying means dying in a different way. It means killing the consciousness they've worked so hard to develop. Now let me tell you what happens in this withdrawal, because it's not what most people think. Most people imagine that disappearing from society means becoming isolated, depressed, or lonely. But for the awakened person, the opposite happens. In solitude, they stop feeling lonely. See, there's a difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is what you feel when you're surrounded by people who don't see you. Solitude is what you feel when you are finally free to be yourself. When the awakened one withdraws, they discover something amazing. They realize they were never truly with others, even though they were physically surrounded. Real relationships require awareness, meeting awareness, and when you're awake in a room full of people who are asleep, there's no one you can truly meet. But in solitude, in a quiet place, away from the noise, the performances, and the projections, you meet yourself. You truly meet yourself. Not the version you do, and not the role you've been playing, but the true awareness, the living, breathing you. And this is not loneliness. It is homecoming. In this space, you can finally hear your own thoughts without constant interference from the opinions of others. You can finally feel your own feelings without absorbing the emotions of others. You can finally discover what you truly want, what you truly believe, who you really are. This is what I call the hermit phase, and it is absolutely necessary for anyone who is waking up. You cannot transform while holding on to all your old connections and commitments. You cannot become a butterfly while still living as a caterpillar. There must be withdrawal, self-imposed isolation, time for deep inner work, and during this time, the awakened one is not escaping. They are integrating. They are processing all the unconscious material they've absorbed over the years. They are healing the wounds created by pretending to be someone they're not. They are developing the strength to stand firmly in their truth, even when everyone around them is still asleep. This is hard work, far harder than staying asleep. Because when you're awake, you can no longer blame others for your suffering. You can no longer project your darkness onto easy targets. You can no longer avoid your own depth by staying busy and distracted. You must face everything, all the fear, all the pain, all the ugliness you've been avoiding. And you have to do this alone because no one else can do it for you. But here's the beautiful thing. After you do this work, after you integrate your shadow and discover your true self, you no longer rely on others to understand your reality. No longer seek approval, validation, or a sense of belonging. You've found something far more precious. You've found yourself. And from this place, if you choose to return to society, you return differently. Not to participate in the unconsciousness, but to offer something else, a different frequency, a different possibility. You become what I call a border dweller, someone who lives between the asleep world and the awake world. You are present, but not absorbed, available, but not dependent, engaged, but not entangled. You might work with individuals who are beginning to wake up. You might create art that speaks to the depths. You might write words that serve as a map for other souls who are disappearing. You might live in such an authentic way that others begin to wonder if there's another way to live. But you never go back to the mainstream. Can't, because once you've tasted awareness, you can't sleep again. As you've touched your true self, you can't go back to playing roles.
Once you see the heart of the game, you can't pretend it's real.
Now I know what some of you are thinking. Isn't this selfish? Shouldn't we stay involved and try to help wake others up? Shouldn't we strive to change the system from within? And here's what I want to say about that. You can't give what you don't have. If you haven't fully awakened yourself, if you haven't done your own inner work, if you haven't integrated your own shadow, then you don't have anything real to offer others. You'll just be another person asleep, trying to wake up other sleeping people. You'll only project your own unconsciousness while claiming to be enlightened. You'll only spread confusion while thinking you're offering clarity. No, the most loving thing you can do is fully awaken yourself. Do the deep integration work to become truly conscious. And then, from that place of true awakening, you can be available to those who are ready. Understand this, most people are not ready. Most people don't want to wake up. They want to keep dreaming their dreams, playing their games, performing their roles. And that's okay. It's their right. Your task is not to wake them up. Your task is to wake yourself up. And then, when the time is right, to be quietly present, gently, without force or proselytizing. For those who are starting to wake in their sleep, this is why the awakened ones disappear. They go to places where they can be real, places where they can breathe, places where they can continue to grow their awareness without constantly defending it, explaining it, or dimming it to make others comfortable. They find each other in small circles, in quiet places on the margins. They create small pockets of awareness in a sea of sleep. They build alternative ways of living that don't require them to betray themselves. And this is not neglect. It's actually the most responsible thing they can do because the collective does not need more people participating in its unconsciousness. It needs people who have worked hard to wake up, needs real examples of another way of living. It needs individuals who have found their true selves. So, if you feel the urge to disappear, if you're finding it harder to participate in normal society, if you're losing interest in the games, the shows and the noise, then listen to that calling. It's your soul calling you home. It's your awareness asking for the space it needs to emerge fully. Don't fight it. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't force yourself to keep engaging with things that drain you. Give yourself permission to withdraw. Give yourself permission to be alone. Give yourself permission to disappear for a while. This is not permanent. You will return when you are ready, but you will return as someone different. Someone whole. Someone authentic. Someone who can offer real awareness, not just the less conscious appearances. And in the meantime, use your solitude wisely. Do your inner work. Integrate your shadow. Find your true self. Develop your awareness, because this is what the world truly needs. It's not people who pretend to be awake, but people who are truly awake. The spiritually awakened ones disappear because they have to, because awareness cannot grow in the subconscious, because authenticity cannot emerge while playing roles, because truth cannot be found while participating in the collective lie. So, let them go. Or rather, if you are one of them, let yourself go. Step back without guilt. Disappear without apology. Be yourself without loneliness. Trust that you are following an ancient pattern, a pattern that is necessary, a pattern that every awakened soul must follow. The caterpillar must dissolve in the cocoon before it can become the butterfly. The seed must crack in the dark earth before it can become the tree. The awakened one must withdraw from society before they can return with something real to offer. This is not the end. This is the beginning of true awareness in a world that desperately needs it. But that awareness must be developed in solitude before it can be shared in community. So disappear if you must. And know that in your disappearing, you are actually preparing something the sleeping world cannot yet see, something it will need when it begins to wake up. You are not leaving anyone behind. You are a pioneer. You are moving forward to prepare the way. You will be what others will need from you when the time comes. And that is the most loving thing you could possibly do.